Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring one of nature's most miraculous creations, the human body. It contains more mysteries than we could even begin to touch upon in this video. So if your eyes start to grow heavy, that's perfectly okay. Feel free to drift off to sleep, or just listen for as long as you'd like. I hope that by the end of this video, you'll have learned something new. Now, please join me on this journey as we marvel at the miraculous nature of the human body. Let's begin. Your body makes 25 million new cells every second. Right now, as you lie still and breathe quietly, your body is far from idle. Every second that passes, around 25 million brand new cells are being created. That's roughly 1.5 billion cells per minute, quietly dividing, organizing, and differentiating to repair tissue, renew skin, restore blood, and replace the invisible wear and tear of living. Most of this happens without any sensation or awareness. Bone marrow produces fresh red blood cells. The lining of your gut is renewed in waves. Even your skin is constantly turning over. The sheer scale of this regenerative process is hard to grasp, but it reminds us, beneath the calm surface, your body is a dynamic symphony of renewal, rebuilding itself in silence. You shed an entire layer of skin every month. Your skin may seem like a static outer shell, but in truth, it's in constant motion. Every 28 to 30 days, you shed an entire layer of skin, flaking off little by little in a process so gradual you barely notice. Dead skin cells drift away invisibly, replaced by newer cells migrating upward from deeper layers. In fact, most of the dust in your home is made of tiny particles of your own skin. Over a year, you lose roughly 8 pounds of it. But you never run out. The skin regenerates with mechanical precision, restoring its barrier without pause. What you touch the world with is always changing, a living frontier between you and the universe. Your stomach regenerates its lining every 3 to 4 days. Your stomach is filled with acid strong enough to dissolve metal, and yet it doesn't digest itself. How is that possible? The answer lies in one of the body's most remarkable defense mechanisms. Every 3 to 4 days, your stomach completely regenerates the cells lining its walls. These cells form a protective barrier between your own tissues and the hydrochloric acid needed to break down food. Without constant renewal, ulcers and damage would quickly occur. This balance of destruction and regeneration is delicate and continuous. Even as you sleep, tiny factories in your gut work to rebuild your defenses, maintaining a protective layer that is always young, always new, and always just one step ahead of your own digestion. Your bones are constantly dissolving and rebuilding. Your skeleton may feel like a permanent structure, solid, stable, unmoving, but it is anything but static. Every moment, specialized cells called osteoclasts are breaking down old bone tissue, while others, called osteoblasts, are building it back up. This process is known as bone remodeling. It happens quietly and invisibly across your entire skeleton, reshaping your bones based on how you move, what you eat, and even how you sleep. Every 10 years or so, your entire skeleton has been replaced, cell by cell. Bones adapt to stress, strengthen where needed, and dissolve where not. Even in stillness, you are being reshaped, a silent evolution, sculpted from within. Your liver can regrow itself from just 25% of its tissue. The liver is the only internal organ in the human body that can regenerate itself to its full size, even after major injury or surgical removal. If just 1/4 of the liver remains, it can regrow into a fully functioning organ. This regenerative ability has been known since ancient times, even appearing in Greek mythology, where Prometheus's liver was eaten and restored daily. In real life, the liver's resilience is both astonishing and essential. It performs over 500 distinct functions, from filtering blood to metabolizing nutrients, detoxifying chemicals, and producing proteins. To do all that, it must stay whole. So when damaged, the liver responds not with scarring, but with growth, rebuilding itself, one cell at a time. You have more bacteria in your gut than human cells in your body. Inside your digestive system, there are trillions of tiny life forms, more numerous than all the human cells in your body. This microbial population, known as your gut microbiome, includes bacteria, fungi, and viruses that live symbiotically within you. These microbes help digest food, regulate immune responses, produce vitamins, and even influence your mood and brain chemistry. Some scientists call the microbiome an invisible organ because it behaves like one, vital, integrated, and complex. At birth, your gut is nearly sterile, but within days, it becomes home to a flourishing ecosystem unique to you. You are not a single organism, but a colony, human and microbial, interwoven at the most intimate level, co-evolving in quiet cooperation. The brain produces enough electricity to power a small light bulb. Your brain, soft and silent, generates a surprising amount of electrical energy. At any given moment, the neurons in your brain are firing tiny electrochemical signals at incredible speed, creating enough electricity to power a low-wattage light bulb. With over 100 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections, your brain is a living circuit board, constantly active even when you sleep. These pulses of energy are responsible for everything from language and memory to breathing and blinking. Yet we rarely feel this electricity. It hums quietly behind thought, emotion, and awareness. You are, in a very real sense, lit from within, not metaphorically, but electrically, a softly glowing engine of thought. Your bones are ounce for ounce stronger than steel. Bone is a paradox. It feels fragile, susceptible to breaks and fractures, and yet it's one of the strongest materials the body produces. Ounce for ounce, human bone is stronger than steel. A cubic inch of it can support more than 10,000 pounds of weight without breaking. The secret lies in its internal structure, a porous, lattice-like network that combines rigidity with flexibility. It's made of collagen fibers reinforced with crystals of calcium phosphate, a composite material engineered by biology, not machines. Bone is strong, but also dynamic. It heals, adapts, and self-repairs. So while it may not look or feel like a supermaterial, your skeleton is a marvel of natural engineering, elegant, efficient, and enduring. Fingernails grow faster on your dominant hand. Your fingernails are in a constant state of growth, but not all at the same speed. The nails on your dominant hand typically grow faster than those on your non-dominant one. If you're right-handed, your right nails tend to grow more quickly. This subtle difference likely results from increased blood flow and micro-trauma from more frequent use. Fingernails are sensitive to circulation, temperature, diet, and even stress levels. On average, a fingernail grows about 3 millimeters per month, meaning it takes about 6 months to replace one completely. And your fastest growing nail? Usually the one on your middle finger. The quiet, persistent growth of nails reflects the body's constant push toward renewal, even at the tiniest scale. Your eyes can distinguish over 10 million colors. The human eye is a sensory powerhouse. Within the retina, millions of cone cells respond to wavelengths of light, sending electrical signals to the brain that allow you to perceive the world in color. Through combinations of just 3 primary types of cones, red, green, and blue sensitive, your brain can differentiate more than 10 million distinct hues. You can see subtle gradients in a sunset, pick out slight differences in shades of green, or distinguish between 2 nearly identical blues. This fine-tuned sensitivity evolved for survival, but also gives rise to art, design, and beauty. In darkness, your eyes rest. But in daylight, they are one of nature's most refined instruments, decoding color with silent precision. The cornea has no blood supply, it gets oxygen from the air. Unlike most tissues in your body, the cornea, the transparent outer layer of the eye, has no blood vessels. This is what keeps it crystal clear for vision. But it still needs oxygen to survive. So how does it get it? The cornea absorbs oxygen directly from the air. Every time you blink, a thin film of tears spreads across the surface, capturing oxygen from the environment and delivering it to the cornea. It also receives nutrients from the fluid inside the eye. This system is delicate. When you sleep with your eyes closed, oxygen intake drops. That's why extended contact lens use can lead to discomfort. It interrupts the cornea's quiet breath of air. Your heart creates enough pressure to squirt blood 30 feet. The human heart is not large, roughly the size of a clenched fist, but its strength is staggering. With each beat, it generates enough pressure to move blood throughout your entire body. In fact, if the aorta were opened, the heart's pressure is strong enough to squirt blood over 30 feet. It does this over 100,000 times a day, without rest, from the moment you're in the womb until your final breath. This pressure comes from the coordinated contraction of cardiac muscle, forcing blood through valves and arteries in rhythmic pulses. It powers life silently, invisibly, a muscular metronome beneath your ribs, pulsing with quiet certainty, driving blood through the highways of your body. You grow taller in the morning than in the evening. When you wake up in the morning, you're slightly taller than you were the night before, often by as much as half an inch. This isn't magic, but physics. During the day, the cartilage between your bones, especially in your spine and knees, compresses under the weight of your own body. As you walk, stand, and sit, gravity gradually pushes the fluid out of these cushions. At night, when you lie down, the pressure eases and the cartilage reabsorbs fluid, expanding again. It's a daily rhythm of compression and release, a quiet dance between gravity and biology that subtly reshapes your body from sunrise to sunset, and back again as you rest. Your brain is sometimes more active while you sleep than while awake. Sleep may feel like stillness, but inside your skull, activity can surge to remarkable levels. Especially during rapid eye movement REM sleep, the stage when most vivid dreaming occurs, your brain lights up with bursts of activity. In some regions, it becomes even more active than during waking hours. Neural networks involved in memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and imagination become intensely engaged, replaying and processing fragments of your day. This may be when your brain integrates learning, reinforces habits, or solves problems silently. Far from being turned off, your sleeping brain is busy, filing memories, rehearsing possibilities, and exploring inner landscapes as your body lies quiet beneath the covers. You replace your skeleton every 10 years. Your bones may feel permanent, like carved stone, but in truth, your skeleton is constantly being dismantled and rebuilt. Every cell of your bones is gradually replaced by new material through a process called remodeling. Old bone tissue is broken down and reabsorbed, while new bone forms in its place. Over the span of a decade, nearly your entire skeleton is renewed. This cycle responds to your lifestyle, adapting to physical stress, hormone levels, and nutrition. Weight-bearing exercise stimulates new growth. Inactivity leads to loss. Your body is not simply maintaining its framework, it's engineering it in real time, making your skeleton a living structure, tuned continuously to how you move through the world. Your body glows faintly in the dark, but the light is too dim for our eyes to detect. You are glowing, always, though you cannot see it. The human body emits a faint bioluminescent light as a byproduct of metabolic reactions. These photons are released when high-energy molecules interact with oxygen, producing tiny flashes of light. This glow is about 1,000 times weaker than what the human eye can perceive, so we remain unaware of it. But with sensitive instruments, scientists have captured images of this soft emission. Strangely, the intensity varies with time of day, peaking in late afternoon. The light follows the rhythms of your metabolism, as if your body were broadcasting its inner fire. You are not merely warm and alive, you are quietly luminous. Nerve impulses travel faster than a Formula One car. Your nervous system is built for speed. When a signal travels from your brain to a limb, to move a finger, pull away from heat, or speak, it races along neurons at incredible velocity. Some nerve impulses travel at speeds over 250 miles per hour, far faster than a Formula One car. This rapid communication is made possible by a biological structure called the myelin sheath, which insulates nerves and allows electrical signals to jump in a process called saltatory conduction. It's this blazing fast transmission that lets you react almost instantly to a threat, or catch a falling glass before it hits the ground. Beneath your skin, a lightning network is always firing. Your sense of smell can detect 1 trillion different scents. The human nose is far more sensitive than once believed. For many years, it was thought we could distinguish around 10,000 scents, but newer research suggests the number may be closer to 1 trillion. Inside your nose, around 400 different types of olfactory receptors line the nasal cavity, each tuned to detect specific chemical compounds in the air. These receptors send signals to the brain in unique combinations, forming a vast language of scent. You can distinguish the freshness of rain, the memory of a loved one's perfume, or the chemical warning of smoke, often without conscious effort. Your nose is not just a passive organ. It's a vast, invisible library, constantly reading the world. Humans are bioluminescent, but it's invisible to the naked eye. Like deep-sea creatures and glowing plankton, humans emit faint bioluminescent light. This glow doesn't come from exotic adaptations, but from ordinary metabolism. As your cells process energy, reactive oxygen molecules interact with lipids and proteins, producing small bursts of photons. Sensitive cameras have captured this faint light, not infrared heat, but visible photons radiating from your face, chest, and hands. Interestingly, the intensity of this glow follows your circadian rhythm, peaking in late afternoon and fading overnight. While your eyes can't detect it unaided, your body glows softly in the dark, not with mystery or myth, but with the quiet chemistry of life. You are, quite literally, radiant, a gentle candle burning from within. Your bones stop growing in length, but not in width. During childhood and adolescence, your bones grow rapidly in length, stretching as growth plates expand. But by your late teens or early 20s, those plates close and your height stabilizes. That doesn't mean your skeleton is finished changing. While length remains constant, bones can continue to thicken throughout life, especially in response to stress or repetitive motion. If you take up weightlifting or endure years of physical labor, your bones respond by becoming denser and broader. Even the shape of your jaw, pelvis, and rib cage can shift with age. Your bones are not frozen in time. They're reactive, dynamic, and responsive to how you live, quietly reshaping themselves long after you stop getting taller. You can survive without a large portion of your internal organs. It might seem that every organ in your body is essential, and many are. But the human body is surprisingly resilient. You can live without a spleen, one kidney, one lung, your gallbladder, your appendix, your stomach, your colon, or even much of your liver and small intestine. In some cases, these organs can be surgically removed due to injury or illness, and the remaining systems adapt. The liver can regenerate. The remaining kidney compensates. The body reroutes functions and heals. This adaptability is extraordinary, a reflection of millions of years of evolutionary backup plans. Though each organ has a purpose, the body's ability to persist, even when incomplete, is one of its most remarkable traits. Your intestines are over 20 feet long. Coiled inside your abdomen, folded and packed with geometric precision, your intestines stretch more than 20 feet in total length. The small intestine alone accounts for about 15 to 20 feet, responsible for absorbing nutrients from food. The large intestine, or colon, adds several more feet, reclaiming water and compacting waste. All of this tubing fits neatly inside your torso through tight folds and muscular contractions. If laid out straight, it would stretch across a small room. Despite its length, food moves through this winding path in a matter of hours, a journey of digestion, transformation, and absorption. You carry this complex pipeline with you always, silent and unspooling, feeding the rest of your body. The acid in your stomach can dissolve razor blades. Inside your stomach is a fluid more powerful than you might expect. Gastric acid, primarily composed of hydrochloric acid, has a pH of around 1.5 to 3, strong enough to corrode metal. In laboratory tests, it can even dissolve thin steel razor blades, given enough time. This strength is necessary to break down proteins and kill harmful microbes in your food. Yet your stomach doesn't digest itself. A protective mucus layer lines its walls, constantly renewing to keep the tissue safe from the very acid it produces. Every meal you eat triggers this biochemical storm, a carefully controlled burst of chemical fire, burning food down to its building blocks so life can continue. You produce about 1 liter of mucus per day. Though it rarely gets the spotlight, mucus is one of your body's most versatile and essential substances. Every day, your respiratory and digestive systems produce nearly 1 liter of it, enough to fill a small bottle. It lines your nose, throat, lungs, and gut, trapping dust, bacteria, and allergens before they reach deeper tissues. Mucus keeps your airways moist, helps move food through your intestines, and even contains enzymes and antibodies to fight infection. Most of the time, you swallow it without noticing. It's not glamorous, but it's critical. This slippery, unseen barrier works constantly to protect you, coat you, and carry the microscopic debris of life away in silence. You blink around 20 times per minute, more than 10 million times per year. Without even thinking about it, you blink approximately 20 times every minute. Each blink takes only a fraction of a second, but over the course of a year, that adds up to more than 10 million separate closures of your eyelids. These tiny movements aren't just for moisture or protection. They also help rest the visual system, refresh tear film, and protect the eyes from dust or sudden changes in light. Remarkably, your brain edits out the darkness during each blink, creating a continuous sense of vision, even though your eyes are briefly shut. In this way, blinking is both biological and neurological, a rhythm that maintains the clarity of sight without ever interrupting your view of the world. Your muscles are always slightly contracted, even when you're relaxed. Even when you lie completely still, Your muscles are never entirely at rest. They maintain a subtle state of tension known as muscle tone. This baseline contraction is controlled by the nervous system and allows your body to remain upright, balanced, and ready to move. Without it, you would slump or collapse, unable to maintain posture. This constant readiness uses very little energy but provides immense stability. Even as you sleep, muscle tone persists, just enough to keep your limbs aligned and your breathing steady. It's only during certain stages of deep sleep that some muscles fully relax. At all other times, your body is quietly holding itself together, a gentle hum of readiness beneath your skin. The human heart beats around 100,000 times per day. Your heart is a tireless engine. Each day, it contracts around 100,000 times, circulating blood through more than 60 miles of vessels. That means over 35 million beats per year and more than 2.5 billion over an average lifetime. It never pauses. From your earliest moments in the womb to your final breath, your heart works ceaselessly, squeezing, filling, releasing, all without conscious effort. It adjusts moment by moment to your posture, your breathing, your emotions. It slows when you sleep, quickens when you move, and flutters when you feel. Even in silence, even in stillness, your heart is the pulse of your existence, a steady, lifelong percussion beneath the music of your body. You have unique thumbprints, just like fingerprints. No two tongues are exactly alike. Just like your fingerprints, the surface of your tongue bears a distinct pattern of ridges, textures, and muscle shapes that are unique to you. While not commonly used for identification, thumbprints are so specific that biometric researchers have explored their potential for secure recognition systems. Your tongue's appearance is shaped by genetics, development, and daily habits, from how you speak and chew to how you taste and swallow. It is an organ of precision, strength, and sensitivity, with fine control that allows you to speak clearly, eat safely, and sense flavor in exquisite detail. Quietly, it carries your personal signature, one that, like your fingerprint, is entirely your own. Your body is made of stardust, literally. Every atom in your body heavier than hydrogen was forged in the heart of a star. Carbon, oxygen, calcium, iron, the very elements that make your cells, bones, and blood, were created in ancient stellar furnaces through nuclear fusion. When massive stars exploded in supernova billions of years ago, they scattered these elements into space, seeding the raw materials of planets, oceans, and eventually, life. The atoms that now form your body once drifted in the cold emptiness between stars before finding their way into Earth's crust, then into food, then into you. You are not just made of matter, you are made of history, time, and the long memory of stars. There are more connections in your brain than stars in the Milky Way. Your brain contains around 86 billion neurons, and each one can form thousands of connections with others. In total, the number of synaptic connections is estimated to be over 100 trillion, more than all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. These connections form the foundation of memory, perception, movement, and emotion. They are constantly changing, strengthening, weakening, or rerouting in response to your experiences. The brain is not static. It is a living map in motion, adapting, learning, rewiring. With each thought or memory, a tiny pulse moves through this cosmic web of connection, like a star flickering into life. Inside your head is a universe, vast, electric, and infinitely complex. Your brain can generate hallucinations with no external input. Even in complete silence and darkness, your brain can create vivid sensory experiences, sights, sounds, even entire scenes, all without any input from the outside world. These are known as hallucinations, and they occur when neural circuits fire in the absence of sensory stimuli. This can happen during dreams, in moments of sensory deprivation, or as a result of neurological conditions. What's remarkable is how real these illusions can feel. The same areas of the brain that process actual perception are active during hallucinations. In essence, the brain is so powerful that it can simulate reality without any light, sound, or touch. It is both a receiver and a projector, capable of creating entire worlds from within. Goosebumps are a leftover trait from when humans had more body hair. When you're cold or moved by emotion, tiny muscles at the base of your hair follicles contract, causing your skin to dimple and the hairs to stand up. This reaction, known as piloerection, once served a clear purpose. For our hairier ancestors, it fluffed up the body's hair to trap more warmth, or made them appear larger in moments of fear or confrontation. Today, with less body hair, the effect is mostly vestigial, a ghost of evolution's past. But the mechanism remains. Triggered by cold, awe, or even music, goosebumps are a physiological echo of an ancient instinct, still wired into your nervous system after millions of years. Your DNA unravels and rewraps millions of times per day. Inside each of your cells lies a nucleus containing strands of DNA nearly 2 meters long. To fit, this genetic material is wound tightly into structures called chromosomes. But DNA isn't static. Throughout the day, it constantly unspools and rewraps to allow genes to be read, copied, or repaired. In a single cell, this dynamic dance happens thousands of times, and in your body, with its trillions of cells, the total number of uncoilings reaches into the billions daily. Enzymes unzip the double helix like a book being opened. Others rewrite the code or seal broken strands. Your DNA is not a scroll written once. It is a living library, being read and edited in real time. Your bones are constantly replacing old calcium with new. Bone may seem like a dry, lifeless material, but it is alive and always changing. One of its key processes is mineral turnover. Specialized cells called osteoclasts dissolve old bone tissue, while osteoblasts lay down new layers enriched with calcium and other minerals. This constant exchange helps your body regulate calcium levels in the blood, ensuring muscles contract properly, nerves fire efficiently, and heartbeats stay regular. When needed, bones act as a reservoir, releasing calcium into the bloodstream. When there's surplus, they absorb and store it. Bone is more than structure, it's a mineral bank, adjusting chemically every day, balancing the needs of your frame with the rhythms of your metabolism. You produce enough saliva each year to fill 2 bathtubs. Every time you swallow, speak, or taste, your salivary glands spring into action. On average, they produce about 1 to 2 liters of saliva per day, which means, over a year, your mouth generates enough to fill 2 standard bathtubs. Saliva may seem simple, but it performs a host of vital functions. It begins the digestion of starches, protects teeth from decay, lubricates food for swallowing, and helps fight off microbes. It even plays a subtle role in taste, dissolving compounds and delivering them to your taste buds. Though often overlooked, this clear, slippery fluid is one of your body's quiet multitaskers, working day and night to protect, digest, and defend. Your brain doesn't feel pain. It can be operated on while you're awake. Despite being the control center for sensing pain throughout your body, the brain itself contains no pain receptors. The tissue of the brain can be touched, probed, or even cut without any sensation at all. That's why certain brain surgeries are performed while the patient is fully awake. Surgeons can stimulate specific areas and ask the patient to speak, move, or recall memories, helping them avoid damaging vital functions. Pain during head injuries or headaches comes from surrounding structures, like the meninges or blood vessels, not the brain tissue itself. It is one of the great ironies of biology. The organ that processes pain cannot feel it, a silent observer behind all sensation. Your gut has its own independent nervous system, the second brain. Lining the walls of your digestive tract is a vast network of neurons, over 100 million of them, known as the enteric nervous system. It operates largely independently of the brain, controlling digestion, absorption, and the rhythmic contractions that move food along. This system can sense the contents of your gut, release enzymes, and even trigger feelings like nausea or satiety, all without input from your central nervous system. Scientists sometimes call it the second brain, not just for its autonomy, but for its complex role in mood and health. It produces many of the same neurotransmitters as the brain, including serotonin, linking digestion and emotion in surprising and deeply biological ways. Your sense of balance comes from fluid in tiny ear canals. Hidden deep inside your inner ear are 3 tiny curved canals filled with fluid and lined with microscopic hair cells. As you move your head, the fluid shifts, bending the hairs and sending signals to your brain about direction and acceleration. This system, called the vestibular apparatus, is essential for balance, orientation, and motion sensing. It works in concert with your eyes and muscles to help you walk upright, stabilize your gaze, and know where you are in space. When the fluid inside moves abnormally, such as during spinning or illness, it can cause dizziness or vertigo. But when working properly, it gives you the quiet, constant sense of where up is, even with your eyes closed. You breathe through only one nostril at a time, and it switches. Although it feels like both nostrils draw in air equally, your body actually favors one side at a time. This subtle alternation, known as the nasal cycle, happens every few hours. As one nostril becomes more open, the other slightly narrows due to blood flow changes in the surrounding tissue. This shift helps regulate airflow, humidify incoming air, and maximize olfactory sensitivity. Some odors are better detected with a slower stream of air, while others require more rapid intake. Your brain coordinates this quiet rhythm without conscious awareness. Even as you sleep, your nostrils take turns, a soft relay of breath, optimizing function in the background of every moment. The tiny hairs in your ear help detect sound direction. Inside your cochlea, the spiral-shaped organ of the inner ear, lie thousands of microscopic hair cells. These aren't hairs like on your skin, but delicate, flexible structures that respond to vibrations in the fluid around them. Each cell is tuned to a specific frequency, like a key on a piano. When sound enters your ear, it travels as pressure waves that move the cochlear fluid and bend the hair cells. This mechanical bending is converted into electrical signals, which the brain interprets as sound. But the brain also uses subtle timing and intensity differences between both ears to localize where a sound is coming from. Your ability to sense direction is not just hearing, it's spatial computation. Some people can hear the movement of their own eyeballs. In a rare auditory condition known as superior canal dehiscence syndrome, or SCDs, a tiny hole in one of the inner ear's bony canals causes sound to be conducted differently. People with this condition can hear their own heartbeat, footsteps, chewing, and even the subtle mechanical sound of their own eyes moving in their sockets. It happens because the gap in the bone creates an abnormal connection between the brain's motion sensing and sound sensing pathways. While this can be disorienting, it reveals just how finely tuned and sensitive the inner ear truly is. We are constantly surrounded by internal sounds, but in most people, the brain gently filters them away. The human ear can detect sounds as low as 20 Hz and as high as 20,000 Hz. Your ears are capable of perceiving an extraordinary range of frequencies. The lowest sounds you can detect, around 20 Hz, feel more like vibrations than tones. The highest, near 20,000 Hz, are piercing and sharp, often just at the edge of perception. This wide spectrum allows you to enjoy the deep resonance of a cello and the high shimmer of birdsong. With age, the upper limit tends to decline, especially for high-pitched sounds. Yet even within your lifetime, your hearing range spans nearly 10 musical octaves, far more than most animals. The ear translates pressure waves in the air into neural signals with exquisite speed and precision. It is both a mechanical marvel and an acoustic window to the "your eyes are never the same size" throughout life. Though often thought to remain constant, your eyes actually grow and change over time. At birth, an infant's eyes are roughly 2/3 the size of an adult's. They continue to grow gradually throughout childhood, reaching near-adult dimensions in the teenage years. But even in adulthood, subtle changes continue. The lens thickens with age. The muscles around the iris may weaken, and the shape of the eyeball can shift slightly, which is why many people develop farsightedness as they get older. These small changes alter how light is focused and can affect vision over time. The eye may appear unchanging, but it evolves quietly, adapting to the long arc of a lifetime, adjusting its lens with each passing year. Bones stop developing in your late 20s, but your face keeps changing. By your late 20s, most of your skeletal growth is complete. Growth plates close, long bones reach their final length, and your overall height stabilizes. But certain parts of your body continue to shift, especially your face. The bones of the skull undergo subtle remodeling. The jaw may change shape, the nose can become more prominent, and the eye sockets may deepen. At the same time, the soft tissues of the face, fat pads, muscles, and skin gradually shift and lose volume, altering the contours of your appearance. These changes are slow but constant, reflecting the passage of time not just through aging skin, but through the quiet reshaping of the bone beneath. The liver performs over 500 separate functions. Your liver is one of the most versatile and vital organs in your body. Weighing about 3 pounds and located just under your ribs, it performs over 500 distinct biochemical tasks. It filters toxins from the blood, produces bile for digestion, breaks down medications, stores glycogen, regulates blood clotting, metabolizes fats and proteins, and helps balance hormones. It also plays a key role in immune defense and detoxifying harmful substances you ingest or absorb. Unlike many other organs, the liver works on dozens of tasks at once, like a control center humming with silent activity. It is tireless, adaptable, and uniquely regenerative. Without it, life is impossible. With it, complexity becomes manageable, chemistry made seamless. Red blood cells carry oxygen, but have no nucleus. Unlike most cells in your body, mature red blood cells have no nucleus. This absence makes room for hemoglobin, the iron-rich protein that binds oxygen. As a result, red blood cells can carry far more oxygen than if they had retained a nucleus. They begin life with one, but lose it during development in the bone marrow. This change gives them their biconcave shape, maximizing surface area and flexibility. These cells can bend and squeeze through capillaries thinner than a human hair. But their nucleus-free design comes at a cost. Red blood cells can't divide or repair themselves. After about 120 days, they're removed and replaced. Each cell is short-lived but essential, a single-use courier of breath. Your body contains enough fat to make 7 bars of soap. Fat plays many roles in the human body as energy storage, insulation, hormone regulation, and even organ protection. But if rendered down and processed, the average adult carries enough body fat to create roughly 7 full-size bars of soap. This strange comparison comes from the historical process of soap making, which involved animal fat mixed with lye. Of course, your fat is more than material. It's a metabolically active tissue. It releases hormones, responds to stress, and communicates with other systems. Its distribution and function vary by sex, genetics, and lifestyle. Though often misunderstood or maligned, fat is essential. Without it, the body cannot function properly, and life becomes fragile instead of resilient. A single hair can hold about 100 grams of weight. Though hair appears delicate, each individual strand is surprisingly strong. A single human hair can support up to 100 grams of weight without breaking, roughly the weight of a small apple. This strength comes from its structure, a dense arrangement of keratin proteins, tightly coiled and bonded together in layers. When combined across the entire scalp, human hair can support the weight of an adult person. Beyond strength, hair is also remarkably elastic. It can stretch up to 30% of its length when wet and return to normal without damage. So while each strand may seem fragile, together they form one of nature's most efficient fiber systems. Light, resilient, and quietly powerful. The longest muscle in your body runs from hip to knee. Running diagonally across the thigh, the sartorius muscle is the longest muscle in the human body. It stretches from the outer edge of your hip, curves across the thigh, and ends near the inside of your knee. This slender ribbon of muscle assists in a range of movements, flexing the hip, bending the knee, and allowing the leg to rotate outward. It's what lets you cross your legs or pivot your foot to the side. Though not especially large or powerful, the sartorius plays a graceful role in everyday motions. Its length and positioning are a quiet reminder of the body's architectural elegance, long lines engineered for motion, balance, and subtle control. You use over 30 muscles just to smile. A smile might seem like a simple gesture, but it's powered by a small orchestra of muscles. More than 30 individual muscles coordinate to lift the corners of your mouth, crease the skin around your eyes, raise your cheeks, and adjust your jaw. Even the slightest variation in a smile can involve different muscle groups, reflecting emotions that range from joy to irony. Some of these muscles work voluntarily, while others are involuntary, activated automatically when you feel genuine happiness. The brain's emotional centers are wired directly to these facial muscles, which is why real smiles are hard to fake. Every smile is a delicate performance, mechanical, emotional, and deeply human. Some of your blood vessels are so small, red blood cells must squeeze through one at a time. Your circulatory system is vast, stretching over 60,000 miles. But some of its most important passages are also the tiniest. Capillaries, the smallest of blood vessels, are so narrow that red blood cells must pass through in single file, often bending and squeezing to fit. These vessels connect arteries and veins, allowing oxygen and nutrients to pass into tissues and waste products to be carried away. Capillary walls are just 1 cell thick, enabling easy diffusion. At this microscopic scale, blood doesn't flow in broad streams, but trickles precisely, slowly, and intimately. Life is sustained not by the great pulses of the heart alone, but by these silent, single-file exchanges deep within your tissues. The brain has no pain receptors, but the surrounding tissue does. The human brain processes pain, but it cannot feel pain itself. The neurons that compose your brain lack nociceptors, the specialized receptors that detect injury. That's why neurosurgeons can operate on the brain while the patient is awake, without causing direct pain. However, the tissues around the brain, the meninges, scalp, blood vessels, and nerves are rich in pain receptors. That's why headaches, trauma, or swelling in the skull can be excruciating. Pain associated with the brain often arises from these surrounding structures. The paradox is striking. The organ responsible for all feeling is itself insensate, a central switchboard that cannot register injury within its own walls. There are about 37 trillion cells in the human body. The human body is a mosaic of living cells, around 37 trillion in total. These cells come in over 200 distinct types, each specialized for a different role. Skin cells form barriers. Neurons transmit signals. Blood cells carry oxygen. Each one contains the full human genome, the complete blueprint of life, but activates only the genes it needs. Cells live, work, and die in patterns measured in hours or days, continually renewing tissues and maintaining life. They operate like a self-organizing society, forming muscles, bones, organs, and thought itself. Every moment, countless cells coordinate to keep you alive, an invisible population working in unity beneath the surface of your skin. Every cell contains around 2 meters of DNA. Inside the nucleus of almost every human cell lies a tightly packed strand of DNA, around 2 meters long if fully uncoiled. This double helix carries your genetic instructions, folded with extraordinary precision to fit into a space just 6 microns wide. The DNA wraps around proteins called histones, forming coils within coils, like thread in a microscopic spool. If you could string together the DNA from all your cells, it would stretch to the sun and back hundreds of times. Yet inside your body it stays hidden, quietly orchestrating the production of proteins, guiding development, and recording the molecular memory of life. Your genetic code is not just long, it is deeply, intricately organized. Your bones contain living tissue and stem cells. Though often imagined as lifeless scaffolding, bones are vibrant, living organs. Within their hard outer structure lies a soft, spongy interior filled with bone marrow, a rich, dynamic tissue where blood cells are born. This marrow houses hematopoietic stem cells, capable of becoming red blood cells, white blood cells, or platelets. Bones are also home to osteoblasts and osteoclasts, cells that constantly rebuild and reshape the skeletal framework. Blood vessels thread through bone, nourishing it from within. Even the compact outer layers are alive, responding to stress, injury, and hormone levels. Your bones are not static or dead. They are animated, responsive structures, quietly pulsing with life from the inside out. Your gut bacteria outnumber your human cells and weigh about 3 pounds. Inside your digestive tract lives an entire ecosystem, trillions of microbes that collectively outnumber your own human cells. This community, known as the gut microbiome, includes bacteria, viruses, and fungi that help digest food, produce essential vitamins, regulate inflammation, and influence mental health. Altogether, they weigh around 3 pounds, roughly the weight of your brain. Your microbiome is shaped by your diet, environment, birth, and even the way you were fed as a baby. It is unique to you, like a microbial fingerprint. In recent years, scientists have begun to see the microbiome as a vital organ in its own right, one that lives inside you, but is not entirely you. More than half your body is not human, it's microbial. If you count by cell rather than by mass, only about 43% of the cells in your body carry human DNA. The rest belong to bacteria, archaea, fungi, and viruses. A vast symbiotic population that lives on your skin, in your mouth, throughout your gut, and even inside your lungs. These microorganisms perform essential tasks, digesting food, training your immune system, and crowding out harmful invaders. Many of them have co-evolved with humans over millions of years. Some can't survive without you, and you can't survive without them. You are not a single organism, but a composite, a biological partnership between human and microbe, entwined in one living form. You generate about 330 billion new cells every day. Each day, your body replaces roughly 330 billion cells, nearly 1% of your total. Some of these are red blood cells, which have short lifespans and are renewed constantly. Others are skin cells, gut lining cells, or immune cells standing guard against infection. Most of this renewal happens without sensation, thought, or effort. Damaged cells are dismantled and recycled. Stem cells divide, differentiate, and migrate to where they're needed. You are, in a very real sense, always being rebuilt. The body you fall asleep in tonight is not the exact body you woke up in this morning. You are not fixed in time, you are flowing, cell by cell, through the river of renewal. Muscles remember previous workouts for months. Even after long periods without exercise, muscles retain a kind of cellular memory. When you work out regularly, your muscle cells grow in size and strength, and they also increase the number of nuclei they contain. These extra nuclei persist even if the muscle shrinks from disuse. When you resume training, those nuclei help rebuild the muscle faster than before. This is why people who were once fit often regain strength more quickly than beginners. The memory isn't stored in the brain, it's embedded in the cells themselves. Your muscles remember effort. They remember movement. They remember resilience. And, given time, they remember how to return to strength. Hair and nails don't keep growing after death. Skin just retracts. There's a persistent myth that hair and nails continue growing after death. In reality, it's an illusion caused by dehydration. After death, the body loses moisture, and the skin around the hair and nails retracts slightly, making them appear longer. Hair and nail growth requires active metabolism, and once the heart stops beating and cells begin to die, those processes shut down. Still, the myth persists because the effect can look eerily lifelike. But the truth is more anatomical than mystical. The body isn't continuing to grow. It's simply changing shape in the stillness, guided by the quiet physics of drying and decay. White blood cells have a built-in GPS to find infections. When your body detects an infection or injury, white blood cells leap into action. These immune cells don't just float aimlessly through the bloodstream, they navigate with precision, following chemical signals emitted by damaged tissues or invading microbes. This process is called chemotaxis, and it works like an internal GPS system. Molecules released at the site of infection form a gradient, and white blood cells sense these changes, moving toward the source. Once they arrive, they engulf bacteria, release enzymes, and summon reinforcements. It all happens silently, invisibly, every hour of every day. Your immune system isn't just reactive, it's intelligent, directional, and always scanning the map of your body for danger. You have vestigial muscles that once helped our ancestors wiggle their ears. Embedded beneath your skin are tiny, almost forgotten muscles called auricular muscles. In many mammals, these muscles allow the ears to rotate, helping them locate the source of a sound. Humans still have these muscles, and some people can even wiggle their ears using them. But for most of us, they lie dormant. They're a relic from our evolutionary past, when mobile ears offered a survival advantage. Over time, as other senses took precedence and head movement became more useful, these muscles faded in function, but not in form. Today, they're a quiet biological souvenir, a reminder of an ancient heritage that still whispers from the edges of our anatomy. Taste buds are replaced every 10 to 14 days. Your ability to taste, to detect sweetness, bitterness, salt, and more, depends on tiny clusters of sensory cells called taste buds, most of which live on your tongue. But these cells are short-lived. Exposed constantly to heat, food, and friction, they wear out quickly and are replaced every 10 to 14 days. New taste receptor cells grow from basal cells at the base of each bud and gradually move upward, restoring your sense of flavor. This regeneration ensures that your sense of taste stays sharp, even after a burn or illness. The foods you love today are being perceived by completely new cells from just weeks ago, a cycle of renewal that turns eating into a living experience. There are more nerve endings in your fingertips than almost anywhere else. Your fingertips are among the most sensitive areas of your body. Beneath the skin, thousands of specialized nerve endings lie densely packed, responding to pressure, texture, vibration, temperature, and pain. These nerves are so finely tuned that they can detect textures less than a micron thick or distinguish between surfaces by the feel of a single grain. This sensitivity is what allows you to read Braille, thread a needle, or feel the faintest breeze. The brain devotes an unusually large portion of its sensory map to your fingers, giving them priority over much larger areas. When you touch the world, your fingertips do more than sense. They perceive, interpret, and translate the physical into thought. The body has a backup system for controlling your heartbeat. Your heartbeat is regulated by a natural pacemaker, a cluster of cells in the right atrium called the sinoatrial node. These cells generate electrical impulses that trigger each beat, keeping your rhythm steady. But what happens if this system fails? The body has backup pacemakers. Other clusters of cells, like the atrioventricular node and specialized fibers deeper in the heart, can take over, slower, but still effective. This built-in redundancy helps protect against sudden cardiac failure. The heart's rhythm isn't controlled by will, but by a hierarchy of biological timing systems, all waiting silently in line. Your heartbeat is not just automatic, it's protected by design, with contingencies prepared for silence. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. Covering about 20 square feet in the average adult, your skin is not just a protective layer, it's the body's largest organ, weighing around 8 pounds. It shields you from bacteria, regulates temperature, detects touch, and produces vitamin D in response to sunlight. The skin is composed of 3 layers: the outer epidermis, the supportive dermis, and the inner hypodermis. Within these layers live blood vessels, nerve endings, sweat glands, and hair follicles, all working together to maintain balance. Skin regenerates constantly, shedding and renewing itself every month. Though often taken for granted, it is your first line of defense, your thermal insulator, and your primary interface with the outside world, always sensing, always protecting. You lose up to a liter of water every day just from breathing and skin evaporation. Even when you're not sweating, your body is constantly losing water. Through a process called insensible water loss, you exhale moisture with every breath and lose tiny amounts through your skin, even when it's dry and cool. Over the course of a day, this can add up to nearly a liter of water, more if the air is warm, dry, or if you're physically active. You don't feel it leaving, and you can't see it, but it's always happening. That's why hydration is important even when you're resting. Your body is gently evaporating into the air, a silent exchange with your environment, as natural as the rise and fall of your breath. Your body contains trace amounts of gold. Inside your bloodstream, there are minuscule amounts of gold, about 0.2 milligrams in total. scattered throughout your body. This elemental gold isn't decorative, but it plays subtle biological roles, including participation in joint health and enzyme activity. Gold atoms are often bound within larger molecules or proteins and distributed in trace quantities, along with other metals like zinc, copper, and iron. These elements originate in the earth, in food, in water, and ultimately from ancient stellar explosions that seeded the solar system. So while the gold inside you isn't enough to mine, it's a quiet reminder that your body is built from the dust of stars, precious, rare, and universal. Your bones are hollow, but incredibly strong. Many of your bones, especially in the arms and legs, are not solid throughout. They are hollow in the center, filled with bone marrow. This structure might sound fragile, but it's actually a brilliant adaptation. Hollow bones are lighter, making movement more efficient, while their outer layer, compact bone, is incredibly dense and strong, able to withstand significant force. Inside, the trabecular or spongy bone adds resilience, distributing stress like the framework of a bridge. This combination of strength and lightness is so effective that engineers study it when designing buildings and aircraft. Your skeleton isn't just support, it's optimized architecture, shaped by nature over millions of years for strength, speed, and survival. Each of your kidneys contains around 1 million tiny filters. Your kidneys are small, each roughly the size of a fist, but inside them are about 1 million microscopic filtration units, called nephrons. Each nephron filters your blood, removing waste products, balancing electrolytes, and regulating water levels. Blood enters the kidneys through arteries, passes through these filters, and exits cleansed. The filtered waste becomes urine, while essential substances are reabsorbed. Every day, your kidneys filter around 50 gallons of blood, refining it with extraordinary precision. Despite their size, these organs are among the most efficient processes in your body, working quietly to keep your internal environment in balance, minute by minute, drop by drop. The brain uses more energy than any other organ, up to 20%. Although the brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight, it consumes around 20% of your total energy supply. That energy powers neurons as they fire electrical signals, maintain cellular health, and manage the complex chemical exchanges that underlie thought, memory, and emotion. Even at rest, when you're not thinking intensely, your brain remains metabolically active. It requires a constant supply of glucose and oxygen, delivered by an extensive network of blood vessels. If the brain's energy flow is interrupted, even briefly, its functions falter. The mind may feel light, ethereal, or effortless, but behind every moment of awareness is a steady current of power, feeding your inner fire. A fetus can heal wounds without leaving scars. During early development, the human body possesses a remarkable ability. It can heal wounds completely, without forming scar tissue. In the womb, fetal skin has a different cellular composition and immune response compared to adult skin. When injured, it regenerates seamlessly, restoring tissue without fibrosis or permanent marks. This ability is lost after birth, likely due to changes in collagen production, inflammation, and immune system maturity. Scientists study fetal healing in hopes of understanding how to replicate it in adults, to one day heal without scars. It's a glimpse of the body's hidden potential, not just to repair, but to restore, perfectly and invisibly, like the injury had never happened at all. Your tears have different chemical compositions depending on why you cry. Not all tears are the same. Your body produces 3 main types: basal tears, which keep your eyes moist, reflex tears, which wash away irritants like dust or onions, and emotional tears, which are triggered by feelings such as sadness, joy, or frustration. Emotional tears contain higher levels of stress hormones and natural painkillers, suggesting a biological link between crying and emotional regulation. These chemical signatures are unique to the kind of tear being shed. While tears may seem like simple water, they are complex, layered fluids that reflect both your biology and your inner state. In each drop is a story of function, of feeling, and of the body's quiet ways of release. The heart has its own electrical system. It can beat outside the body. Your heart doesn't need instructions from your brain to beat. It contains its own built-in electrical system centered around the sinoatrial node, which generates rhythmic impulses that control contraction. If removed from the body and supplied with oxygen, the heart can continue beating for a time, completely on its own. This property, known as automaticity, is unique among muscles. It ensures that the heart continues to function even if nerve signals are disrupted. In emergency medicine, defibrillators work by resetting this internal rhythm, allowing the heart's natural pacemaker to regain control. Your heartbeat is not just muscle, it's signal, pulse, and independent rhythm, echoing in time without ever needing to be told when to begin. The human embryo has a tail for a brief period. During early development, every human embryo grows a small tail, a structure that reflects our shared ancestry with other vertebrates. Around 4 to 5 weeks after fertilization, this tail extends beyond the rest of the developing body, containing multiple vertebrae. But as the embryo matures, the tail is gradually reabsorbed into the body, leaving behind the coccyx, or tailbone, a vestigial remnant of our evolutionary past. In rare cases, children are born with small tail-like extensions, a rare and usually harmless occurrence. Though hidden in adulthood, this early tail is a fleeting glimpse of deep biological history, an echo from a time when tails were not symbolic, but essential. You can function with half a brain, and sometimes better than before. In rare medical cases, such as severe epilepsy, surgeons may remove or disconnect an entire hemisphere of the brain, a procedure called hemispherectomy. Remarkably, especially in young patients, the remaining half of the brain can adapt and take over many lost functions. Speech, movement, and memory can all recover to surprising degrees. This plasticity is most pronounced in children, but even adult brains show some capacity to rewire. The brain is not hardwired like a machine. It's fluid, flexible, and capable of extraordinary compensation. Half a brain may sound like a tragic limitation, but in some cases, it becomes the path to healing, revealing just how adaptable human consciousness can be. People with synesthesia can taste sounds or see colors in music. For individuals with synesthesia, the senses are intertwined in remarkable ways. A sound might evoke a burst of color. A letter might feel sharp or soft. A musical note might carry the flavor of mint or cinnamon. This blending of sensory perception is involuntary and consistent. The same stimuli always produce the same cross-sensory experience. While the exact cause remains unclear, synesthesia appears to involve increased connectivity between brain regions. It's not a disorder, but a variation, a different way of interpreting the world. For those who experience it, life can be rich with unexpected textures, flavors, and colors. The mind becomes a prism, turning simple input into a spectrum of perception. Bone marrow is the source of all red blood cells. Deep inside your bones, particularly in the pelvis, ribs, and long bones, lies soft, spongy tissue known as bone marrow. This tissue is home to hematopoietic stem cells, the origin of all the red blood cells in your body. These stem cells divide and differentiate into mature cells that enter the bloodstream, carrying oxygen to your tissues. Red blood cells are produced at an astonishing rate, millions every second, all from this hidden factory within your skeleton. Marrow also produces white blood cells and platelets, making it a cornerstone of both oxygen delivery and immune defense. Without bone marrow, blood could not be replenished and life could not be sustained. The liver can detoxify almost any natural poison, up to a point. Your liver is a master chemist, capable of neutralizing a vast array of toxins. When you ingest something harmful, whether alcohol, plant toxins, or metabolic byproducts, your liver processes these substances using specialized enzymes. It transforms fat-soluble compounds into water-soluble forms that can be excreted through urine or bile. This detoxification happens continuously, quietly protecting you from daily exposures. But the liver has limits. If overwhelmed by too many toxins too quickly, its enzymes become saturated and damage can occur. Still, its capacity is astonishing. Every day, your liver filters more than 1 liter of blood per minute, acting as both barrier and shield, a silent guardian of your internal chemistry. Human vocal cords vibrate faster than a hummingbird's wings. When you speak, sing, or whisper, your vocal cords, small folds of tissue in your larynx, vibrate rapidly to produce sound. In normal speech, they can oscillate around 100 to 200 times per second. In singing or high-pitched vocalization, that frequency can exceed 1,000 vibrations per second. For comparison, a hummingbird flaps its wings around 50 to 80 times per second. Your voice is shaped not only by these vibrations, but by the resonance of your throat, mouth, and nasal passages. Subtle shifts in muscle tension alter pitch, tone, and texture. Though they are tiny and unseen, your vocal cords are some of the fastest moving muscles in your body, turning breath into language with astonishing speed. Your brain has more than 100 billion neurons. The human brain is made up of an estimated 86 to 100 billion neurons, each a specialized cell capable of sending and receiving electrical signals. These neurons connect through trillions of synapses, forming networks that underlie every sensation, thought, and memory. Neurons vary in shape and size, each adapted to specific roles. Some gather sensory input, others command muscles, and many exist solely to connect one part of the brain to another. This web of interaction is never static. New pathways form as you learn, and unused ones fade with time. The brain is not just a container of thoughts, it is a living constellation, with each neuron a flickering star in the architecture of the mind. The brain can rewire itself in response to damage. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to adapt, restructure, and rewire itself in response to injury, learning, or experience. When part of the brain is damaged by trauma, stroke, or disease, other regions can often compensate, forming new neural connections to bypass the loss. This ability is strongest in childhood, but continues throughout life. Rehabilitation therapies harness this plasticity to help people regain lost abilities, whether it's walking, speaking, or reading. Learning a new skill, like playing an instrument or speaking another language, also reshapes neural circuits. The brain is not fixed like a machine. It is elastic, evolving in real time, continuously reorganizing itself to meet the ever-changing demands of life. The brain can simulate sensory experience purely through thought. You can close your eyes and vividly picture a sunset, feel the imagined warmth of the sun on your skin, or recall the smell of rain on pavement. This isn't just memory, it's simulation. Your brain can activate sensory regions even in the absence of real input. Functional imaging shows that visualizing a scene lights up many of the same areas as actually seeing it. Athletes improve performance by mentally rehearsing movements. Musicians practice silently and still refine skill. Imagination is not separate from perception. It overlaps with it, often using the same neural hardware. In your mind, you can conjure entire worlds, and the brain responds as if they were real. You have cells that detect only horizontal or vertical lines. Within the visual cortex at the back of your brain are neurons that specialize in recognizing very specific features. Some respond only to horizontal lines, others only to vertical or diagonal edges. These orientation-specific cells were first discovered in groundbreaking experiments with cats, but the same principles apply to humans. When light enters your eye, it's transformed into signals that travel to the brain, where these specialized neurons construct a basic map of your visual world, detecting edges, contrast, and motion. From these simple elements, your brain builds complex images. You don't just see objects, you assemble them from fragments of light, shape, and direction, piece by piece, in the dark theater of the mind. Memory is not stored in a single place, it's distributed across many networks. Your memories aren't tucked into a single compartment of the brain. Instead, they are woven through a network of interconnected regions: the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and others, each contributing to different aspects of remembering. Visual details, emotions, sounds, and spatial information are stored separately, then reassembled when you recall an event. This distributed storage means memories are dynamic and reconstructive, not like files pulled from a cabinet, but like stories retold. Each time you remember something, you reshape it slightly. Memory is not static or perfect. It is fluid, adaptive, and deeply linked to how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. The brain uses chemical gradients to organize thought patterns. Within the brain's intricate circuits, thoughts are shaped not just by electricity, but by subtle chemical gradients, variations in the concentration of neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, glutamate. These gradients influence how signals move between neurons, altering the brain's responsiveness and mood. They help prioritize attention, store information, and guide behavior. Unlike binary on-off switches in machines, the brain's chemistry creates shades of possibility, modulating signal strength, timing, and sensitivity. It's part of why thoughts feel fluid rather than rigid. The mind doesn't function with mechanical precision, but with chemical nuance, flowing, shifting, and adapting as emotions rise and fall. Your thoughts ride waves of molecules in a sea of electrical storms. Some cells in your eye are more sensitive to motion than to light. In the retina at the back of your eye are specialized neurons called ganglion cells. Some of these are tuned not just to brightness or color, but specifically to motion. They detect movement across your field of vision, how fast it is, what direction it's going, and send this information straight to the brain. These motion-sensitive cells are so attuned that they can respond to a single pixel shifting on a screen. They help you track objects, react to sudden changes, and navigate a dynamic world. You may not notice them working, but every time something moves in your periphery, your eyes catch it. Not by seeing more light, but by sensing change. Your digestive system has more neurons than your spinal cord. Lining the walls of your intestines is a dense network of over 100 million neurons, more than are found in your spinal cord. This enteric nervous system controls digestion independently, regulating the movement of food, the release of enzymes, and the coordination of muscles in the gut. Sometimes called the second brain, this system operates even when the central nervous system is cut off. It communicates with the brain through the vagus nerve, but also works on its own, managing the vast complexity of digestion. It's not just a passive tube, it's a semi-autonomous organ with reflexes, memory, and intelligence. You carry within you a hidden brain, one that thinks in rhythms and waves. The body has a circadian clock in almost every organ. While the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus acts as the body's master clock, responding to light and darkness, nearly every organ has its own internal circadian rhythm. The liver, heart, lungs, and even fat tissue follow 24-hour cycles, regulating processes like metabolism, hormone release, and cellular repair. These peripheral clocks are synchronized by signals from the brain, but they can also shift based on food, temperature, or behavior. Disrupting these rhythms through jet lag, irregular sleep, or night shifts can affect everything from digestion to immunity. Your body doesn't just run on one schedule. It's a symphony of clocks, all ticking together, tuned to the rising and setting of the sun. Your body temperature varies by time of day and activity. Though it may seem constant, your body temperature rises and falls throughout the day. It tends to be lowest in the early morning, just before waking, and highest in the late afternoon or early evening. This rhythm is part of your circadian cycle and is influenced by hormones, metabolism, and physical activity. Even small movements can raise your temperature slightly, while rest and sleep allow it to drop. These shifts affect everything from alertness to the timing of certain medications. Women may experience additional variations with hormonal cycles. You are never at a fixed temperature. You are firmly alive, adjusting to the moment, tuned to the clock inside your cells. Human bones are stronger under compression than under tension. Your bones may seem like uniform rods of solid material, but their strength depends on how force is applied. When compressed, pushed together, bone is remarkably strong, capable of bearing thousands of pounds of force. But when pulled apart or bent under tension, it becomes more vulnerable. This is because bone is a composite material, part rigid mineral, part flexible collagen. Compression squeezes these components together, reinforcing structure. Tension stretches and separates them. Engineers study this property when designing prosthetics, implants, and architecture. Your body, through evolution, has adapted to these mechanical truths, shaping bone alignment and muscle placement to keep you balanced, upright, and resilient against the constant push and pull of gravity. The Achilles tendon can handle over 1,000 pounds of force. Connecting your calf muscles to your heel bone, the Achilles tendon is the thickest and strongest tendon in the human body. When you run, jump, or climb stairs, it stores and releases energy like a spring, absorbing shock and propelling you forward. Under peak strain, it can withstand forces exceeding 1,000 pounds. This resilience is due to its dense collagen structure and the way it transmits muscular effort across the ankle joint. Yet despite its strength, the Achilles tendon is also prone to injury, especially from overuse or sudden stress. It's a perfect example of biological design, powerful, efficient, but still subject to wear, a cable of pure function that quietly powers your every step. You have a reflex that prevents you from biting your own tongue until it fails. Normally, you'll know the system includes protective reflexes that make it difficult to bite your own tongue while chewing. Sensory feedback from the tongue to the brain helps coordinate jaw movement, ensuring that your teeth close at the right time and position. But under certain conditions, such as during a seizure or while chewing too quickly, this reflex can falter, resulting in accidental bites. It's a small example of the body's quiet vigilance, systems working together to protect even the most vulnerable parts from harm. You rarely think about it, but each meal is a symphony of coordination, precision, and split-second timing, with built-in safeguards that usually go unnoticed. Dreams can encode memories, solve problems, and rehearse fears. While you sleep, your brain enters a remarkable state, not one of stillness, but of deep internal activity. During certain stages, especially REM sleep, Your brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, and runs simulations. Studies have shown that dreams can help strengthen learning, solve difficult problems, and rehearse threats in a safe, imagined environment. The amygdala, associated with fear and emotion, remains highly active. The hippocampus, central to memory, replays fragments of waking life. Though the content of dreams can seem surreal, the underlying purpose may be profoundly practical, organizing your experience, optimizing future behavior, and protecting your mind. You are not idle while dreaming. You are rehearsing life in the quiet theater of sleep. You only perceive a tiny fraction of the sensory input your body receives. Right now, your senses are absorbing a flood of information. The pressure of your clothing, the temperature of the air, the hum of distant sound. But your conscious mind perceives only a tiny slice of this input. The rest is filtered, ignored, or processed unconsciously. Your brain prioritizes what's novel, urgent, or emotionally significant. This filtering is essential. Without it, you'd be overwhelmed. Specialized neural pathways, including those in the thalamus and prefrontal cortex, act as gatekeepers, allowing attention to focus on what matters most. Beneath awareness, your body listens, evaluates, and responds. You are surrounded by sensation, but your mind chooses the story it tells. Some of your cells are older than your bones. Many of the cells in your body are constantly renewing. Skin, blood, and gut cells are replaced every few weeks. But others are far more permanent. Some neurons in your brain have been with you since birth. Muscle cells, too, can last a lifetime. Even some fat cells persist for decades. Meanwhile, your skeleton, which feels so solid and fixed, is completely remodeled every 10 years. This means some of your oldest cells reside in your soft tissues, while your bones are younger than they appear. You are not uniformly aged. Your body is a mosaic of timelines, some parts ancient, others newly formed, stitched together in the flow of time. Human blood comes in many rare types, not just A, B, AB, and O. Most people are familiar with the major blood groups, A, B, AB, and O, and whether they're Rh positive or negative. But beyond these common types, there are over 30 recognized blood group systems, each defined by unique antigens on the surface of red blood cells. Some are exceedingly rare. The Bombay blood type, for example, lacks a fundamental antigen found in nearly all others, and can only be transfused with blood from another person with the same rare type. Others, like the FNU golden blood, have no Rh antigens at all and are found in fewer than 50 people worldwide. Your blood carries a signature far more complex than most realize, a molecular identity shaped by genetics, evolution, and rare biological chance. Your immune system remembers past infections for decades. Once your body fights off a virus or bacterium, it doesn't forget. Specialized immune cells, particularly memory B cells and memory T cells, linger long after the infection is gone, storing information about the invader. If that same pathogen returns, these cells recognize it quickly and mount a faster, stronger defense. Some immune memories fade with time, but others last for decades, even a lifetime. This principle underlies vaccines, which safely train your immune system without causing illness. Your immunity is not just reactive, it's adaptive, intelligent, and deeply historical. Every sickness you survive becomes part of a vast cellular memory, a living record of battles fought and won. Your muscles generate tiny electrical fields, even at rest. Muscles do more than contract. Even when you're still, they produce tiny electrical currents, detectable on the skin's surface using sensitive instruments. These electrical signals are created by the flow of ions across cell membranes, a process essential to maintaining muscle readiness. Electromyography can measure these signals to diagnose disorders or track fatigue. The presence of this low-level electricity means that your muscles are always slightly active, not moving, but prepared. Even in sleep, they hung quietly beneath the surface. Your body is never truly still. It pulses with microscopic signals, a quiet electrical whisper of life and readiness beneath your skin. Every heartbeat triggers a tiny pressure wave that reaches your brain. With each beat, your heart sends a surge of blood through your arteries, not just as flow, but as a pressure wave that travels throughout your body, including into your brain. This wave gently distends the walls of cerebral arteries, affecting neural activity in subtle ways. Recent research suggests that the timing of this pulse may influence perception, attention, and emotion. You don't consciously feel it, but your brain registers it, a silent sync between heartbeat and thought. Your heart and brain are not separate systems. They are deeply linked, pulsing together in time, connected by blood, pressure, and rhythm, a quiet duet that plays throughout your life. And now, everything is quieter. The heart still beats. The lungs still rise and fall. But the questions are softer now. The thoughts a little slower. Maybe something stayed with you, a shape, a feeling, a quiet trace of awe. Or maybe it's already fading, like breath in the dark. That's all right. You don't need to hold on to it. The body doesn't ask for understanding. It just lives. It breathes, repairs, remembers. It holds you through stillness and change. It asks for rest and keeps watch as you drift. Out there, the world turns. Inside, your own galaxies shift, cells dividing, currents flowing, signals pulsing in rhythms too small to name. Even in sleep, you are vast. So let your shoulders soften. Let your breath deepen. There's nothing you need to do now. The body will carry you the rest of the way. And so, under the quiet stars, the story continues. I hope you sleep well and dream softly. Good night.